think the number one reason was knowledge transfer. We wanted to more quickly allow the delivery teams to have capability to deliver projects more independently. And when we looked at the different skills that everyone had, there was a concentration of experience on the platform team, which while the platform team could work with the delivery team, the knowledge exchanges were not as happening as well as we had hoped, and it was more of a handoff between teams rather than a learning exchange.
So you do recognize that there was some problem you were trying to fix? I know that we had that big meeting and you said that there was a bottleneck, and we were not producing enough work, but we were getting a lot of input and work into our department. So what were some of the problems you saw?
Well, we have 3 delivery teams that kind of service a particular segment of the company, and when those teams were needing to come back to that kind of platform team for virtually every work request, that was the first alert that something wasn't working well. And I think the second alert was that the time span between initiation and completion of the work was getting elongated, which was the exact opposite of what we wanted. We wanted to see the focused delivery teams being able to compress that and to deliver the work more independently. So those are kind of the 2 problems that we were trying to address.
Right. And as a result of that, the way work was organized then, did you see some indication of team conflict between the teams, within the team members, and within each team also?
I personally definitely observed a lot of what I'm going to call handoffs, where someone felt like it was beyond their knowledge domain, so they would then want to hand it to an expert on another team. And those handoffs weren't necessarily pre-planned. And in hindsight, really the better approach would have been to come alongside and basically equip that person to carry out the task that had originally been assigned to them. I think, given some of those handoffs, there were friction points where people were frustrated that their peer wasn't helping them timely or had different priorities than they did. So there was some mismatch in priorities that led to some friction between the 2 teams.
Now, going back to the previous organization structure, could the reorg have been avoided by helping in some other way, maybe training? Were other possibilities thought of before this reorg was initiated?
That's a great question. I think that the goal was knowledge transfer. So I believe there are ways to do that. Training is certainly one way. Another way is kind of on-the-job training, where you're doing the task and kind of learning as you go. I think the concern was that given the way there's a weighting of experienced people on the platform team, and so that if you looked at the tenure of a lot of the people in the delivery teams, they'd been with the organization less than a year. And so there really wasn't enough kind of internal knowledge to bring up to speed some of the new hires. And so there probably were ways to avoid moving. There are people, I think, that their general work habits maybe aren't conducive to kind of team work, more independent individual contributors, but we work in a team environment, so sometimes, and I think that's my job, to come in and coach them to develop some of the work habits necessary to work with other teams. And people are at different places in that process. Some people are naturally very team oriented, and others it's a bit of a stretch. But I think everybody can get there if supported appropriately.
Right. So